Introduce Margie?
No, that's not necessary.
All right, say hi.
Hi, guys. Debbie's teasing me. She wants to know whether I need to be reintroduced. Hi. And for those that don't know, I'm Margie at Simply Special Crafts. So just in case you weren't sure that I still worked here, it's still me. I'm weird. Anyways, I see that some people have been talking. There may be a few times that I have to clear my throat. I apologize. I told Debbie COVID did its job. It gave me pneumonia, and that's what it's supposed to do, right? It weakens your system enough to get sick with other things. So, have a little bit of that still. So I'll clear my throat a few times, but I am absolutely negative. Have now been for officially as of tomorrow 2 weeks. So we're all good. And other than having some unique experiences with it, of my already my body has some interesting things that happen. And so this has been an eye opener because it's kind of changed a few of those around. And hopefully, as I get a little bit better, it will go back to being normal. Well, my normal. So, anyways, I don't know that I'm ever normal, but as I hear Debbie chuckle over there in the corner. Okay, so today we are doing Hyacinth from Heartfelt, and I've got some examples here that I've done. I want to find out from you guys exactly what you would like to see or know more about, and that's what I'll focus on creating the flowers with this time around, and then we'll go from that way. So this particular one is made with vellum. I had some interesting things happen with the vellum. And so I'm just going to talk about them. This does not become an option because it is a little bit more work and I don't want to keep you here all night. So we can talk about what is positive about the vellum, what is a con about the vellum, and you can decide on whether you would like to work with it or not. But I need something a little bit more consistent because it doesn't always work, but it sure is pretty. So that's our vellum card. This is 100% of using the papers at hand, and I figured we would do one of these, absolutely. And I mixed all the different purple colors as well as I inked some of my flowers. So it allowed me to kind of mix and match all the different kinds of purple to get a more variegated look like maybe you'd see in your actual flowers. And then these are also some of the paper ones out of the book that I used oxides on the yellow ones. And then I just used the plain flowers of the purple ones from the book. And that's how I created this one. And along with the shiny parts are all the little bits of the Nouveau Glacier paste that we have. And any of the shiny parts that you see, like on the greenery of this flower right here that I added into here, it came from our green glacier paste. So we've got those. I did a few examples on some. I have a vellum that I am going to show you how to do today. And then I have regular colors still from the book, or I have stamping ones ready to go that we can use as well. So totally your choice in which ways you want to go with things. I will try and do 3. I can't guarantee that I can do all of them. This one is a mixture between vellum flowers and white flowers. The paper flowers out of the book. So those are some of our options. I did not do foam because this is not going to lend itself to foam very well. It won't. Because your foam curls on you as soon as it hits the heat, it will curl, but it'll curl the wrong direction. And as we know, once it cools, the foam doesn't re-change itself. So you can't heat it up and then try and stick it here and put it down in, and the flower curls will go the wrong direction then all of a sudden. So it's a little bit harder to do with foam. I don't recommend it. I was not willing to show it on camera just because it truly did not work very well for me. Now, I will show you parts of the reasons why. These are really small little flowers. They're not as tiny as our cherry blossoms, but they are a smaller flower. So for me to do the trick that I did with the daffodils to try and heat up the plate a little bit to use, it won't work. I won't be able to get it warm enough. Maybe if I did one at a time, but that would be really labor intensive for a class. So I just decided for me, it wasn't worth trying to do that. So that's the reason why. Okay, so let's take a look at what comes in your kit, or excuse me, what comes in the bundle. You get the spring. My spring book is so broken down into so many different parts now. It's kind of humorous, but let's see. I don't even know if I have the cover to it at this moment.
Oh, there it is.
You saw the cover?
I saw it. It's right up toward the front. It's like
probably this one.
In.
Yep, second one in. Haha. Okay. So your the Hyacinth comes with the Spring Garden Collection paper. We use this for our daffodils as well because your daffodil one also comes with this paper. And I tell you, you can absolutely use up all of this paper, both packs, because we are doing two different big flowers with it. So there's a reason for that. I use our binders that we have because they come already pre-cut. So the Heartfelt binders, I write what's on them either here or sometimes I put it on the back, depending on how I want to store them. And so these are my stamps, and I use our memory box little folder pieces. This one's pink. I've got a green one for Christmas, and I got a purple one for hunky dory dies. And so this one is pink. And so I thought, well, that's appropriate for the Hyacinth. And so I take my pieces out, and I just have this. I slide it right into the bag. It's the perfect size. And then I have a hole punch. So now I can just put my die back to back with my stamp in the binder, and then I don't lose them, and it cuts back on a lot of the packaging because all that packaging takes up space. So I'm trying to keep them really, really compacted. So that's how I store mine. And so you get the die, you get the stamp, and you get the mold along with your pack of paper, and that's what's in there. A bare bones minimum. If you get the stamp, you can hand cut them out. If you don't have a die machine that can handle this size, like we've talked about before, with our Cut and Go Pro that we use, the mold fits right on top of there. So it will fit the mold. It will fit your dies. But if you have something that's any smaller, like only this width, because there are some that just sell in a much smaller dimension. This is, there's my 0. This is 2 inches wide, a little over 2 inches wide, so about 2.25 inches. So if you do not have a hole for this and you want to make these flowers, then the stamp might be the way to go. But for the most part, this is 5.5, almost 6, actually more, we'll call it 6, but it really is more like 5.75, 5 7/8. So the mold will fit, your dies will fit. You might think that the mold won't fit, but it sure does. It fits right into that size. So that's why I use the Cut and Go Pro that we have, and that's part of the reason why I always hand do it instead of using my automatic machine, is to make sure that each and every part of this will fit into one of those. And there are several of them that hit around this size hole. So if yours has 5 7/8, 5 3/4, then you should be able to get your mold through that as well. Okay, so here we go. Would anyone like to see me go over the flowers in the book? I know that we've done that several times. So here are some of the options. I can show stamping. I can show embossing. Or I can show inking of the flowers in the book. And I really feel like, and I will definitely show you how you can use vellum to make these as well. So it's really kind of up to you in which way you would like to do it. So what I will do is I'm going to start with these because they are the vellum. They turn out really pretty, but I do not encourage you to, you'll want to use your wow with your vellum. You want to use the wow with the vellum if you're going to emboss them. And if you are going to emboss them, you cannot use them in your mold. And I really actually recommend that you hand cut out your flowers, because I tried Nouveau. It peels off. If you come in really, really close, right there, this one, if I can hold it still, there we go. See how this one is missing part of its vellum right there? I made it front and center so that you guys could see it. And the reason why is because it flakes off. Now, Nouveau works great for paper, and I had figured that it would do the same for the vellum, and it did not. The Wow Clear or the Wow White, I think I used the pearlized version. Here is an example of the pearlized version. You can see that it didn't lose any of its, there's a good one right there for you to be able to see from it. There we go. It does do it, but the Wow is a little bit thicker, so you lose the lines, but it gives it a nice shine, and it makes it so pretty, and it doesn't peel off. But if you put it inside the mold, it will peel off. So, so I have some here that are the yellow ones. I used white vellum, and I inked it with our oxide, our lemon squeezed oxide ink. Here we go. The squeezed lemonade. I just put it and inked it onto my vellum. I heat set the ink, and then I ran the embossing. I did the embossing stamp, used that, put it in, gave it its powder, used the heat gun, and I came out with this. And they do turn out beautiful. And here you can see where I mixed in between the colors of pink and yellow. And this one turned out really cool looking. So you can make some really lovely, if I can hold still long enough for it to get unblurred, you can get some really cool variations of color in your There we go. Pretty well anyways. You can see the variegation into your flowers. So you can have a lot of fun with mixing up and having some be a little yellow, some be a little white. This one kind of has a purplish tint to it because I'm holding it through the camera, but it really does look white, not on the TV. So there's lots of different vellums here. With the embossing, you have to go through, and these embossing ones, you just want to take a small tip to form it. If you do anything more than that, it will start to cause the embossing to peel off of the vellum. But they stay quite nicely and they work quite well by just pushing in on just the center. So again, don't use vellum and embossing with your mold. I don't recommend it with your die. It will knock some of the pieces off, but it's less likely to be knocked off with this white wow on a heavier set vellum. So I have lots of them right here. So it gives it a nice little shape. The white vellum, I was able to run through the die. I did not lose too much of it. For the most part, it stayed quite nicely. So this is one way to do it for the vellum. Sorry, hopefully you can see those. The other way, you can actually put these inside your mold so that you don't have to do it by hand. But I'm going to show you by hand because I'm going to show you two different things. So first off, I think that I set it over here and I didn't leave it over there. Debbie had a wonderful sale for these. I think I did leave it over there, Bryce. It's a packet. It might be in the pink container, in the plastic Heartfelt bag.
What is it?
It's vellum that looks like hydrangeas.
It's under $2.
Yep. Thank you. So, as Debbie said, this is from our $2 sale. It's pink hydrangeas. And so I went through and I just ran this through the die machine with my die. And I got all these pretty little flowers. And if you want to do it quickly, you can throw them in the mold. But I figured this is the perfect opportunity for me to show you guys what something is when you don't have it on a mold. If you don't have the mold, because it won't fit into the machine, for example. So the neat thing when I die cut these, so you can see it with this one, I just took a strip of that and I got tons of them. Look at how many I have. I cut out a strip that was just wide enough for the die, the full length of the page, and I just folded it into fourths. And I got all of this in one strip the size of the die, folded in 4, and ran it through my die machine one time. So while it may take you a little bit more time to set these up, to hand do them, again, you can use these in the mold because they don't have any of the embossing on them. But I really loved how they have that print on them. It makes it look like an actual petal would look. So lots of fun little ones. Just put your vellum on up the right direction, because you will see the die cut on these because it does bend it a little bit. So you will see which is the right side and which is the wrong side when you go to do it. It doesn't really show in the camera, but it's got just a little bit of a curve that goes to the outside. So what you do is you just take, and I'm going to use the other side of the ball. On the embossing ones, I was trying to keep it as small as possible, so then that way it wouldn't pop the embossing on the vellum. But with these, I can use the other side. Emma, I need you to be quiet, please. Thank you. Emma is here with me today. She's excited about a game that she's playing. We're trying to keep her a little busy while we got this going. I don't know that this one I like as much because of the black spot in it for the shadows of the hydrangea flowers, but I can use it in the back portion. So I'm going to do all of them except for just a few, and that's because I'm going to use this as the backing for our flower. So I've got 5 of them and a couple of ones that got cut from my quarter folds. And it's really interesting seeing how those go and how they're used. So I found that by mixing some of my pinks papers, I added some inking to these, and I used I used oxide ink for one, and I used the new ink. I used the new ink for the new distress ink and not the oxide for some of the other ones. And they do definitely have a difference to them. One, you're going to lose your lines in your paper. The oxides, if you put it on too thick, you'll lose those lines. But you'll get a darker color sometimes out of the ink, which I found interesting. So I played with it in lots of different ways because I thought, well, this is a good learning curve for me. We can try these different things. If you have any absorbency to your paper, your inks are going to give you a darker look, but it will be see-through, but it will still look darker. I couldn't believe it. This is ink.
Oops, here.
Oh, off camera. This is ink. This is oxide.
Oh, sorry.
And believe it or not, it's the exact same color. So it's just how the ink absorbs differently into the paper than the oxide. And the color that I used was picked raspberry. And if you have something like white to use it on. I wanted to give you an example of that on white. The ink shows up really dark, but the oxide, I don't even know if you'll pick up the really faint pink that's in that one. It's barely there. So the oxide ink barely shows up, but it gives it just enough that if you're seeing it in person and you're looking closely, it will have all the little pretty pink lines that are in there. So it's amazing how the differences work because the other ones felt so dark to me, and these just became this really pretty light pink color with the oxide. So just a heads up, just to let you know. You will get differences between the two. I know that Debbie has talked about that before, that the ink is translucent, whereas the oxide has a opaque look to it. So that whitening in it, that the opaque piece of it allows it to kind of sit on the top and not necessarily make it look quite as deep. However, you keep adding layers and you can't tell. you can't see any lines if you add more layers. So
Irene asked, what did you do to get the yellow centers?
the yellow centers, I used my Glacier. I use my glacier paste with this little guy. So it doesn't stick to the vellum as well, I found. So instead, I thought that we'd try a little bit of the glue gun and trying some of our pearls. This is our prills. This one is the Heart of Gold. We have a peachishy color called Fuzzy Navel, and we have a black one. Not positive what that one is called. And then we have another one that has more oranges and a few raspberry colors, and it's kind of variegated mixes. And that one's called Gourd. And we've got the small versions, or you can get a bigger style to where you'd probably only want to use one of them. The Dress My Craft has beads that you could put just one in, and this one happens to be the unicorn color, but there are other colors down there as well in the store. So these I thought would make a really pretty center on maybe one of the purple ones, for example. So I'm going to glue the prills onto these, but I left some of these blank so that I could show you how to add the glacier to the middle in case you like the glacier paste better. Okay. I'm taking our heating gun piece. I'm going to do it with on top of the heating gun pad because I at least know that this gets pretty hot. So hopefully it will do okay. So I'm putting it down, I'm putting the hot glue into it, and I'm pouring it in to my little tray. If you don't do it this way, I'm afraid that you'll just end up with tons of it everywhere. And keep in mind that you will not see the centers on all of these, so don't do every single one. If you do, you'll find that you'll want some inner layers and you won't have anything to interlayer it with. And I recommend hot glue just because of the quickness of it, honestly. I think the other glue will do it nice because it's going to dry translucent if you use the Comic Shimmer or some of the other options that are out there. The Nouveau dries clear, so you could technically use it for those types of things as well. But I think you would have to keep them cupped and held in there a lot longer. So I was going to do it with the hot glue. And I will tell you right now that I haven't tried it yet. So this is going to come out with I'm not positive. So it might have flattened a little bit of it, but I don't think so. I think that it will come out quite nicely. Yep. Look at that. Hold still. Look at that. Now you've got a little bit of the thread as I pulled it away, and that will come right off. And so you can get it off the edge a little bit if you don't want it on the edge. Boop. There we go. Isn't that pretty, guys? So let me clean the rest of these up, and then we'll move on to the next portion of how to apply the papers intermixed with the vellum. I really do like the look.
Oh, I would like to see the glacier paste technique too.
Okay, yep, can do. See, there's one of my glue things, little threads. I can tell which ones that I put too much in compared to some of the other ones. Let me move this back so that you can see them. See this one? Probably a little too much. So maybe just a little bit slower. I just kind of was pressing and trying to move quickly. And so now I've got this lovely little bit in here. Wow, it just comes right off that thread because it's barely being held on by anything. Just kept a couple of them off that little glue thread, but didn't waste all the rest. That's nice. Another glue thread. Grab the wrong color. I'm just putting the beads back in using the funnel tray.
Rena asked, do those pearls fall out easily when mailing?
You know, I believe that they should work for you and that it should stay if you've got it attached to your glue. And if you are worried about the possibility of having it jostle them or squeeze them, because I mean, I can squeeze and move them if you want to. I can squeeze and tap, and they seem to hold pretty well, but I have two little ones in here by tapping on it upside down. So if you know that you're going to mail them, I think I would just put a drop of glue on the top, like a Mod Podge type, and let it dry onto the top. And then that will seal it between the two types. And I think that should keep it in place for you. Okay. So you can see here how I've got some variegated looks based on using the inks in some of my pinks. And some of these have the glacier paste already in them. But I thought that it's fun to intermix the colors. I really have liked that. And I will tell you that in order to make one of the bigger ones, you're going to need at least I'm going to say bare bones minimum, you'll need 15 of the flowers to put on here. You do not have to put them in as thick as I did here, but I wanted to give that variation and have it really show up and pop in the purple. So I really filled the flower. But in some of these other ones, I didn't fill it quite as full, and so you can end up seeing some of the flowers from the background on here through the picture. But I think for this particular one, I'm going to go ahead and fill it again just so that we can see, especially because it's the vellum. We're going to want a good thickener because of all the clear opaque, the clear translucent pieces to it. So you can fill it in a couple of different ways. I filled mine. I think I'm going to get it off of this pad before I accidentally melt it. That's what I'm going to do.
Good idea.
Okay. So glacier paste, we'll do that first since we need to let it dry a little bit, and that will. And then we'll work on gluing the next set of papers down. So I'm just taking the ones that don't already have glacier paste in them. Okay, I'm taking a little tiny bit. It's like working with miniature doll houses, I think. I'm just taking a little tiny bit, and it's kind of almost mousse-like. So I'm taking that, I put a little bit on the ball, roll it on in there, and that's all there is to it. Let me move back a little bit. See, it just deposits it so nicely in there. I found that with a brush, I wasn't getting the same kind of look that I was hoping for. So I found that this, putting it on the end of a ball and just rubbing it in there, it picks up just enough there at the end. With a brush, you end up with a brush stroke, and then you're not getting enough on it. It either is barely showable, or I've had to put so much on it because I'm moving the brush stroke around. Can you guys see that? I don't know that you really can. Let me try again. Okay, take this one from the very get-go. I'll turn it a little bit towards you, so I might not be able to see what I'm doing, except for on the camera. Okay, so I've got a little bit of it on my ball. I'm just going to take and drop and just roll it a little bit in the center. And it will deposit some of it, but not too much of it. And it does not take a lot. See, it's already all there. And I would say there's probably just as much still on my ball. This one I tried to roll it to try and see if I could get you guys to be able to see it, and it gave it too much. So this one will be a little crazy in the middle, but I can still retrieve it instead. I can still make it look nice instead of with the, there's the two. This is the one that had a little bit that was showing that it had a lot still in there. And I rolled it a little bit more to fix it so it was even, so it still looks nice. But with that brush stroke, it comes up the side. You can't quite get rid of it. And then all it takes is wiping the ball off. And I don't know where, there's the wipes. So just clean the ball off because it's stainless steel. It'll clean up quite nicely. Your brush is not going, because of the glue. Can you back up a little bit for me, Bryce? Yeah. The stainless steel wipes right off. Your brush is not going to come out so great. So use a brush. If you don't have a little stainless steel ball, then use a brush that it doesn't matter as much for. One that you're okay with throwing away, because the glacier paste is a glue. It truly is a paste. So when you put that on, it's leaving it there for you. So there are my mixtures of the few different colors. So now we'll go through, and I've got some flat. Where's my flat ones? There we go. So I've got some cupped vellum with nothing inside. I've got some flat vellum, and then I've got my vellum with the prills and the paper pad that I've put a light inking on, and then I've put the glacier paste in the middle. So that gives us a lot of different variety so that it doesn't all look exactly the same. Now this, I took the glacier paste and I used the ball and I rolled it up and down in order to just gave it a little bit of striping. And now I've got that really pretty shine on my leaves too. Okay. So first things first, I'm taking the flat ones and I'm just going to kind of place them along the edges. It's to help with giving it a shape, but I'm also just trying to fill in some of the areas that you might be most likely to see gaps in. Those edges, you'll be more likely to see those little flowers up here at the top. And you'll see from some of my examples, if you hold them up at the top, and if you're sitting and you're looking directly at it, it almost looks like I need to bend out my flowers a little bit. So here's what I mean by this. Yeah, it kind of has a little head. The little spot peeps out the top. So by putting some flat flowers underneath, it kind of allows it to make it look full and not have a little flat head on it if it gets bent, for example. Most of the Heartfelt Creations, I'm going to encourage you to use clear translucent boxes with. The daffodil, you will have to give to people in person. We've looked at using the pill boxes. You either will need to make one of your own to the depth that you need, and maybe we should just do some of those when we do one of the next sets. Maybe I'll just take the time to use some of our acetate and fold a couple of boxes that will fit some of our bigger ones that you can't buy out of the store, because they just are not, they don't make them thick enough. And that's the only way that I can foresee that you would be able to mail it. But even then, it is just an acetate box. I'm cutting the edge off because it has some of the white still showing. Because, of course, I just did where the print already was. Okay. All right. Grab the wrong ones. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put these in first. What I found is that these are a little bit stiffer, so they will tend to, I can't put them in without it accidentally smushing the regular flowers because it will try and bounce back a little bit. So if I do it here first, then we can fold the other ones in between. Emma is liking the quilling plants that you guys made with the terracotta pots.
Irene likes the shiny look of the glacier paste.
I like it too. So it comes in yellow, comes in hot pink, and it comes in green. I'm not positive if it comes in any other colors. Maybe we can look to see what it comes in the store. But I do know about those three because those three I have. The yellow, the green, and the hot pink. Okay, so
What's it called? Glacier paste.
Glacier paste from Nuvo. So what I'm doing is that I'm taking some of the vellum flowers and I'm inserting them into different areas of the vellum that I've already created around the edge. You'll want to save some for the middles as well, but I've done most of the outline around the edges.
Okay, he's smarter than me. How do you spell glacier?
GLA. I don't know. I can write it. I can't spell it out loud. GLACIER. Can't remember if it was the I after the A or
We only
after the
have the
C.
three colors.
The three colors. Okay.
Pineapple, the mambo melon, and green envy.
So the mango melon is the hot pink one?
Yeah, it looks pretty pink to me.
It's definitely pink. It's like hot pink. There's no mango color to it.
Oh, mambo.
Mambo. Okay.
Yeah.
Like
didn't read very well.
Mumbo.
M-A-M-B-O.
Like doing the bow. Mumbo. I guess when you're dancing the salsa mumbo. Something like that anyways.
Why do I feel the need to break into song?
I don't know. Maybe because of the hot pink mumbo.
There's a commercial that plays that.
That's too funny.
All I've got.
Okay, so I just want to show you here because I've been gluing away. I've got some of the vellum that I put down. I've put some of my translucents with the little pieces in, and now I'm going back through and filling in some of the areas with a couple of the paper flowers as well. And so here's where we get a little bit messier. Have to push your tissue up and out of the way. To put the paper flower in. And if you look at a hyacinth, it will push its flowers back and forth. You'll actually see them push against each other almost at times. I think I want to just put one more flower in here. Paper one. Okay, so that is what we've got between using the vellum and the pad of paper, using glacier paste and our prills. So
Cute.
that is what we have. Isn't that pretty? And it gives it all those different kinds of colors.
Lots of texture.
Lots of texture, yeah. And I chose not to do these two for two reasons. One was I still didn't like the black spot, even though I covered it up most with the prills. And this one had too many prills in it, so I figure I'll save that for another time. But they sure do turn out pretty. Making a mess on Debbie's pad here. Okay, so to make the card that goes with this, I'm putting Bryce to sleep.
It's not hard to do.
That time of day. He's just got me frozen.
There we go. Okay, so this one, the one that I use to make this variegated one with the vellum and mixed flowers, is right here. I definitely like the prills that I put in this one. I think it makes that center a little bit more full. Excuse me. I used the little pink one for that one. This is a bigger pink. I'm gonna have to change that up a little bit, huh?
Yep.
I didn't use the right one. I was not thinking about size in the moment. Haha, that's okay. We've got plenty more. I think I like it on this one, actually.
I gotta go take mail, so I backed out so they can see your board.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
You're good while I'm gone.
Do you need me to move over them, Margie?
Nope, we have done this we have done the postal mambo before. That's okay. All I can think of right now is the Italian song. Exactly. That one. Where did my glue go? To the left of me somewhere is what I always hear. In this particular case, I might have left it over there. found some. Okay, guys. Wow. Can't talk in the moment. While I'm putting this on the card, if there's any questions that you have about the one that I just did, or if you think that something didn't make sense that I said, which is very possible, just type it in for me and then I'll make sure to stop and look up. This needs a little bit of background paper. Something that I noticed about a lot of the pad is that it has a lot of purples and greens, but I don't see as many pinks, which is okay, because this little pink and purple look beautiful together. So Debbie, I know that there has to be some finger lift tape over here somewhere. Where? It's the drawer. Okay. Okay, perfect. Thank you. Otherwise, I could be gluing for a while. Yep. Thank you. Okay, so just pop it right on there. There's our background. I'm going to say that these scissors are not very, they're a little dull. Maybe I should try that again with a different pair. Hey, Emma, honey.
She went outside.
Oh, she did. She went. I'll just. I just need a pair of scissors. These are a little dull. They also in a drawer.
There's scissors on. There's sharpeners on that stand. Right
Found it. Found it. It was down below.
It's so darn organized you can't find the thing.
Yeah, I'm just not used to it. it's always where, you know, the person that's using it is. And so being left-handed, I'm going to look in a totally different place than where Debbie looks for things. And it has everything to do with me being left-handed because it makes more sense to me on a different side. But that's because I'm crazily left-handed. That's why when you say look to your left, sometimes I believe that I really should look to my left, but a lot of times I'll deposit stuff on the right because I'm using stuff on my left. Okay. So we've got that, and looks like I've got some cutting down to do with the yellow. Okie dokie. Thelma, you are welcome. I love doing this. I love doing the flowers. I think they are just so pretty. And when I'm doing them, I make a whole bunch of the pieces. So then that way I've got all these pieces that I can turn around and make into flowers later. So, I have found it to be quite nice. So how many people have this that they... Yeah, they did cut a lot better, didn't they? How many people have their pieces ready to go? Because we've been promising this, and then I got sick just, 2 days before the class. So we've been promising this for a little while. So number one, we wanted to get it in there just as quick as I could get back, or at least I wanted to. I tried telling Debbie I could do it last week until she called me, and I proceeded to cough most of the time. She said I can't do it. But I wanted to make sure that I hop back out. But I was hoping that somebody, if they had them and if they've tried it, that maybe you could pull out some of the stuff that you have and start working right along with me. It's a little crooked right through here. There we go. Did you go visit the goat, Emma?
Mm-hmm.
There you go. It's so pretty. So here's the first one. And this one is the bigger flower. I just was not stopping to think about it. So the next one we'll do the smaller flower. It goes a lot quicker too. So that will make it nice. So this is when I'm going to ask if anybody has a particular request other than the glacier paste. Does anybody have a request? Would you like to see me use the stamping? Do you want to see it embossed on paper? So I'll give you, or do you want to just see me inking the paper pads again so that you can, or the paper pad again so you can see how to make those look a little bit different than they normally would. Because this is what you get out of the pad. It has a completely different look when you add the ink to them than when you leave them plain. In my opinion, I like the difference of the colors. Well, Andrea, you can then just totally join right in with me. If you've cut them out, that's a good place to start. And I did tell you guys that I would show you how to do the flowers without the mold in case you do not have the opportunity to use the mold because of your machine. So these are the 2 pages that you get with the hydrangea. So here's our pinks and our yellows and our purples here. This is part of the daffodil pieces. And then these are the backup pieces of these. So we've got lots of different colors, little ones, big ones. And the little ones that I have so that I can show you how to do them are all in purple. So it seems to me like we have some purple that needs to happen. Or I can take one that I stamped on, and I stamped it in the green, so that's why it's green up here. I could totally have chosen not to stamp it all in green. I could have just put green down at the bottom and then a different color up here on top. But I figured, you know what? I've got this Distress Oxide, which means I can layer it and make it whatever color I want. So I think I'm going to do just that. Oh, except for this one's a big one. So I got to set that one aside for a different one. Never mind. Haha, I was just kidding. Okay. There we go. Purple. Emma sounds like she's making magic tricks going on over there. Okay, this is the milled lavender in the oxide, and I don't have a brush for that one handy. Never mind, I do have a brush for that one handy. Okay. Oh, good. I'm glad to hear that. Great. And yes, that glacier paste is pretty neat stuff. Okay, so I'm going to ink up one of these just to give us a little bit of inking of the flowers from the pad. I think that this one might have a little bit of color on it still. Thank you, Emma. Got a lot of that still on the brush itself. Emerose. Okay. So these I use the milled lavender and the seedless preserves. And let's see. I have purples already here, but I want to make some extra depth to some of the purples. So I'll pull out a few of the different kinds. So the milled lavender is what I actually stamped with these. You can barely see the lines, but that's kind of what I wanted to have happen, is barely have the line seen, and it's a little blurry for me to hold up there, I know. Emerose. Thank you. You will also get some great variation off of it by just adding some extra into some areas versus others, because with the dioxide, it lends for either adding a lot or a little bit, and you can just keep going through and making darker and darker if you want. I mean, I doused that one, so that one's going to be really dark. Okay. And then I just have some of the paper ones here, and I'm just going to go through, and I think I'm going to use this one, this color. I'm just going to add a little bit in. That purple now almost looks kind of pinkish, but it will look quite nice. And now you can see why I glacier pasted the middle of these, for exactly the reason of wanting to have some of that yellow shine through. So if you have a dye machine, this is where we put those lovely little colors right in here. There, our organization. I figured it out, at least for this part. Post-it note. Stick them for our dye. I love how Heartfelt, you just run them through once and you're done. You don't have to run them through twice or flip them around, or they just come right out the very first time. It's great. I think I'm going to do a little bit of that milled lavender as well. Then that way that gives us a few different ones. I think the reason why I like doing the inks on these paper pads is because in flowers, unless they're white, you don't tend to see white. And so because of that, I keep wanting to make them nice and colorful. So it's probably a me thing and not that I don't like them with the white. It's just I tend to prefer them with color all the way through. Okay, so this one on down. Emma is a really great addition to the Simply Special Craft group because let me tell you, she can cut dies like no tomorrow. You can. She sat there and she cut out some of my flowers earlier today so that I could get some other things set up for the class. It was very helpful. Emma. Okay, there we go. This really dark flower that you're seeing here, that is a really thin mulberry that we have. Okay. So I showed you using the stamping pad, or excuse me, the embossing pad for using to poke into the flowers. And what I'm going to do is that I'm going to do two different things here with this set. I'm not going to use the mold at all so that we can talk about ways to use your flowers without molds. You saw it with the vellum, but I'm also going to use it with the paper. And there's something really specific with the paper that I found that I liked doing more. And it's on this this technique. So rather than putting it in the mold, which will get you this type of a look, which is beautiful, I liked the idea of, when I look at Hyacinth, I always think of Hyacinth having a rolled back flower a little bit. And so this kind of opens up the flower a little bit more. And I like that look. So that is what I'm going to do with these flowers. If you have Debbie, you said that there was a quilling
I think in the top tray there.
in the top tray.
It's not really not like that. Tab right. Isn't it right there in the top tray?
No.
I'm not seeing one. There's tweezers. That's a good thing to have in your tray. Thank you.
Just put it in the top tray. That's nice.
Okay. Thank you, sir. So I'm going to just push it down with the pieces, but part of what I'm going to use is a quilling tool in order to show you how to make the flowers more open. So you go through, push it down. Emma, lighter, please. Just a little bit lighter, please. I'm using the small end like I did with the vellum on the padded flowers. And then you take your quilling tool and you go right in here like this. If you had the opportunity to, when I talked the Heartfelt tips, flower making tips up a lot over the last couple years whenever I've made a flower here. And you've heard me say, you should really get one of these. Well, they're sold out everywhere now. But it has, if you were one of the fortunate few to have purchased it ahead of Heartfelt going out of business, you will find in there a little, it's not little, it's a bigger quilling tool. So it's got a nice long piece on it here, and it will allow you to have different thicknesses of material in it, as well as it has a cone shape so that you can make it either a really tight roll or a really thick roll. So just going through and rolling these back. Once I'm done rolling them back, I have to re-put in that little bit or else it will come right back out again because I've touched it. But it at least starts for me knowing, okay, this is how far to roll it back. This is how. So you're just rolling them outward. I don't know if you can see that, but you're just taking it to the tip, and just like any of our quilling things that we've done in the past, take it all the way to the tip as far as you can, and then I'm rolling it down and under. Don't roll it up and over, or else you will have a flower that you can't see the center of. Good night, Thelma. Have a good evening. Okay, so that is how you make the rolled one. And it rolls out so nice and gets to be so nice and thick. Isn't that pretty? I'm only going to do it with the padded paper ones. The ones that I had stamped earlier and just colored. We're going to leave those the way that they are. And I'll just run those through the mold. Nilris. And I'm probably pronouncing that wrong.
Nilris.
Nilris?
From Hawaii.
Aha. Well, hello. I don't think that I recognize your name on here on a Thursday. So welcome. And to all of you that were on earlier that I totally forgot to say hello to, I am so sorry. I was ready to go. Just let me start making flowers. And I got this little bit left to go. I should have probably have at least rolled some of these ahead of time because I know it takes a little bit extra. There we go. Hey, Emma, would you be willing to come over and roll some flowers for me? No? Because it will go a little bit faster.
Bryce is good at rolling flowers.
Bryce is good at rolling flowers.
Yes, I can roll flowers.
I would appreciate it because otherwise we will be sitting here rolling flowers for a little bit longer. It doesn't take too long, but there's 5 petals on each. There you go. Thank you.
He's done all kinds of things lately.
I saw and heard that. Little bit of a slight to the chin.
You're right, I think your tool would be easier. This one, it's hard to see.
They're small. I also want to show any of you that you can actually just push the mold together and not use it through your die machine if it doesn't fit, because let me tell you, they fold very nicely together. Look at that. They just folded right in with the mold, and you saw me. I just pressed it. And look at that. That's amazing. Okay. So we'll start with our small one, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to fill in the other one with purple and we'll do some purple and some yellow on a bigger one, but the flowers will now all be ready to go. So I'm going to keep going with the hot glue gun. You can absolutely do these with glue. It works just as well. That gives us a good base. This mulberry is so very thin, you can see it here. You can see how thin it is, but man, if you get a couple of these in together, they will make a nice tucking effect on the rest of these. So we'll take it with the glue gun. And we're just going to tuck it here in between the two from the mold. Then you can lift up the others. And that's going to fill that in a little bit more, give it a little bit more fullness. Now I can take one of these rolled ones and just drop it right in to the middle. I didn't water the back of these paper ones, and I think that is part of why it's not moving as easily and holding its shape. Why it is moving and not holding its shape as well is because I totally forgot to spray the flowers.
Say hi to Diane.
Hi, Diane. So now I'm just folding up all the mulberry pieces and I'm putting in flower knot on the mulberry. It just gives you a lot of, I think with the different textures, it gives you more of a feel like of richness to it. You've known that I've mixed these for other things too, but I have not used mulberry and I have not used the vellum fillers. And so I wanted to show you on this one, do it differently so that it could be fun and we do something just a little different.
So you should guys record.
Okay, so now we're just going to put in those other little bits here and there. I think I want to take some of my no, don't want to do that. Mhm. Thank you. Thank you. And see how you notice that after I had done those, that I put it back into the thing. And that's the reason why, the difference of what you see there. By doing that, it gives it all that pretty curl back. So just make sure that after you're done rolling them once, that you give it one more quick turn. He is such your dog. Teddy's over here just happily sitting on Bryce's lap. And one more of these curled ones. I think that that will do it. Thank you, Bryce. That helped a lot. So now take a little peek. See how it gave it just so much depth by throwing in a little bit of that mulberry, a little bit of the rolled, and then just some stamped ones for backgrounds. It works really nice by blending them all together. I've done several of these different ways of doing it now, and I'm finding that the more that I blend things together, the more that I like them. By using extras, because you're not going to find this in a store. Nobody's going to make one like this in a store.
Right. No.
No way. And then you have all that love and care that got put into it, and everybody knows that you did it, that it's nothing that they've ever seen before.
That would be true.
So now I will use this flower, this one, because I really like it. I think it's so pretty. The scissors have come and gone. I know they're here somewhere. To the left, I'm sure. Nope. In front of. I really like these little ones. I wasn't sure how I was going to feel about it because I looked at them and I'm like, man, they're so big of a flower. I don't know that it's going to work so well, but it worked out just fine. Just fine. Emma's over there very quietly whispering, Teddy, Teddy, Teddy.
He heard.
And Teddy heard. Down he goes. Okay. Oh, because I haven't been here for a little while, we think that we actually ended up with, and it's amazing that we haven't ended up with more, but we've ended up with a rooster. Pretty
A
positive.
rooster.
A rooster, just a singular.
No, out of 18, that's not bad.
22.
22.
Yeah.
47.
No. 22. You may get us up to about 30 at any given point, but I doubt it. There's 3 more that we would like to have at some point, but that doesn't mean today. It can happen who knows when. Grabbing for the wrong thing. Okay, so here's our first layer. Here is our second layer. I do like when they layer them up, when they give you the opportunity to layer them up and everything goes so nicely together.
Yeah. The papers really coordinate well.
Yeah. I also want to say, because I mentioned it earlier, but I don't think that I mentioned it on camera earlier. My mom, bless her heart, wanted to try and help in any way that she could. And so she said, I can make some of the flowers while we do this. And so I said, okay, let's do the vellum flowers. That takes some time, and I would sure appreciate the help. And so she went through and she made some of the vellum flowers for me. And then we found that some of them just were popping right up. Like I mentioned, the Nuvo one seemed to pop right on up, but the Wow worked good, so long as you were so very careful. And here's another example of the Wow ones that are here. And these are the ones with the white. It's white vellum. I've put the ink on, and then I've put the Wow on. You can really see how messy my hands are with paint, can't you? Hold absolutely still. There we go. So with the white on there, it seems to hold nicely, but only if you use your foam pad. So I'm saying it again just because I'm going to be adding in some of the yellow with the purple on this one. When we get to the next little one, and I'm just going to do one more little one and then we're heading off because I've made all the parts for it, so we might as well use it, right? So very pretty. There we go. So that one's now done. We've got that beautiful corner. And we're going to make one more big one just to finish it on off. Finish it all off. There. Let me speak clearly, plainly. Look at how well that just covers it in. Got all of that purple. I kind of have a lot on my brush. So if you want less, don't douse your brush so much, but I just wanted to give it a good background. Okay.
Diane asked, do you just wash those brushes so you can use them with different colors?
Yes. You just wash them like you would anything else. If you want, Debbie has a pack of 12, right?
What are brushes?
The blender brushes
Blend brushes, they're in tens.
in tins. And what is the cost?
Well, they're the small and large ones, like we're accustomed to using, are in 2 packs of 5. There's lights and brights, and I will tell you how much they are because I don't recall. 8 something, I think. So just a little over $1 a brush.
So
Let me see.
What about the black ones?
Oh, the black ones with the brown bristles.
Yes.
Those are. It is a pack of 10, and I have those on special.
so
Go to applicators. You find them in applicators in the store.
so it's under applicators. These are on a special right now in a set of 12.
And it's a set of 10
10.
sizes.
10 different sizes.
They are $17.99 for 10 brushes, so $1.79 a brush for the biggest ones and the littlest ones. And just by contrast, if they buy just the little brush, it's $2 by itself.
Okay. So just a singular brush is $2 by itself, but if you buy them in packs, they run $1.79. And the answer is yes, you can wash them and you can use them. If the reason why these are on a little bit more of a special is because of having the brown bristles, you can't necessarily see what color is on them, so you can't just tuck it away and save it. In this particular case, I just put it in plastic and I had saved it for class. But I'm going to wash them out, and it's going to leave a purple color there. It won't have color to where it will add back on to anything, but it will kind of stain the white bristles a little bit. So it's kind of like a sponge. If you use it and you wash it out, you can use it and it's brand new, same sponge. But if I have a whole bunch of these, maybe I just want to save this to use for all my purples or all my pinks or all my, and yellow, of course, is only one brush and you always use the yellow. Just once.
Just FYI, Margie, we have brushes running anywhere from $8.29 a pack up to that pack of 10, which is
okay.
$17.99.
So they start at $8.29 a pack, and then the larger packs that go up to, I'm sorry, what was the last one? $10.99? $17.99. $17.99 for the bag of 10. So there you got it. And we love them. And that's why Debbie started carrying them, was how much I was using them, how much Other people were enjoying them and using them, so she got in some new ones and they are available. Put that one down there, actually. So we'll use some of our mulberry in here. As you can tell, I use my little ball flower formation. They're used for so many things, I've found. Don't think that that was originally what they were made for, but I found that I can use them for lots of things. You can push with your hot glue and it pops right off of the silver, but leaves your flower in place. So I like that part of it too. So you'll see me use that to hold it down. And then it just lifts right off. And you're ready to go. Loosen my hot glue on that one. But I now have the cups all ready to put some yellow in there. Emma, getting louder. Careful. Okay. I think I'll take a couple more of the yellows right here. I missed a couple over here on the side. There we go. Now you can go through and you can fill your little embossed ones. You can add a little bit of hot glue into the middle and put your pearls in that as well. I'm not going to take the time to do it because I just wanted to show you how you do all the different pieces and make that variegated color in there with just two very blatantly opposite colors, but it sure does look pretty. and very, very summery, very spring. So, do you have any questions? Because I think that we are done for the day. I think that what we went through making enough for 4 cards. So 3 cards and a whole bunch more flowers left over. So 3, technically, if I add that to a card piece. But look at, they're all so different. By just doing a few extra techniques that are different in each, they will always look a little bit different. So lots of different options, lots of different ways to make it look. And so I hope that you have an absolute wonderful time with your kits. Hopefully I showed you enough so that it makes it so that you go, yes, I can do this. So thank you so very, very much. And what are you doing on Saturday, Debbie?
I am doing the poinsettia flowers.
You are doing the poinsettia flowers on Saturday. So she is working on those right now. And they are going to be so pretty. And it's it starts July, right? We're right there, aren't we?
We're doing the poinsettias
Hence Christmas. So Christmas in July all month. And so we've got several different things planned, and it should be a lot of fun. So I hope that you join us for each of those items. And Debbie can tell you more about what to look forward to for the rest of July when she's here on Saturday. So thank you guys. Have a great rest of your evening, and good night.